Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. She Got Options. In today's video, we are going to be talking about time frames. So, if you are a beginner in the market and if your journey is going anything like mine was going in the beginning, you've probably heard the term time frames various times. You've heard higher time frames, you heard lower time frames, but you don't really know what the purpose of them are for. So that's how my journey was. I heard both times, but I did not understand what the purpose of these time frames were. So that is what I'm going to break down to you today. I'm going to explain some of the time frames, and I'm going to show you how you actually utilize the time frames when evaluating a stock to take a potential trade. Okay, we're going to keep it very simple because as you guys know, my channel is dedicated to beginners. We are taking out the complexity in learning the stock market. So everything is really basic, scratching the surface. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. As you can see, I am using Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade. That is my preference when it comes to charting. There's other charting platforms, but this one works for me. Okay, so when you're thinking about taking a trade, you always want to start at the higher time frame, okay? Now the higher time frame is just a broader time frame. Okay, so the higher one would be the weekly. We're going to start on the weekly chart. And as you can see, I'm going to switch to this one so that you guys can see it better. I'm actually going to change these bars because I cannot stand when they are blue. Okay, so here we are on the weekly time frame. Now, the weekly time frame, it's a chart showing 3 years worth of price movement in weekly increments. So each candle represents a week's worth of movement on SPY within the last 3 years, okay? If you hover over the candles, all the information comes up right here. Okay, so if you're just looking at this chart, you can see clearly that for the most part of these past 3 years, it's been in an uptrend. That's the overall scope of SPY. Now we can see here, as we're getting closer to the present, it kind of had a pullback. It bounced and had another pullback, a bounce, and then we are currently around this area. And you can see I have a pattern drawn. This is a different subject, but this is a triple bottom pattern that I've seen. And a triple bottom pattern is a bullish pattern where the stock will tap the support 3 times and then break out to the upside. So since I spot this on the weekly time frame, it lets me know, okay, it's breaking out from this pattern. SPY should be in an uptrend. And currently that is what it's doing. It's starting this nice little uptrend. It's been up in price for the past 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Okay. Now, after looking at that, I would go to the daily time frame. Now, the daily time frame will be a year's worth of movement in daily increments. So this is the past year SPY, and each candle represents a day's worth of movement. Okay, so you don't see that clear uptrend like you did on the weekly because it gets a little more in depth about what the stock is actually doing. And we have some ups and downs. Okay, we see all that. But we still see this pattern happening on the daily. Okay, so if I seen this on the daily first, I was like, okay, I see this pattern, and then I went to a higher frame like the weekly and seen it again, like it is on there, that would give me confirmation that okay, this pattern is strong because it was on a lower and then a higher. Okay, so as I'm looking at the daily, I'm like, okay, we're in an uptrend. It had some pullbacks, but it's an uptrend, okay? And I see on the daily I have a resistance approaching at 429. Now, these levels, I have them charted on here. I have a previous video where I charted SPY and I showed you how I charted the key levels. Now you can go back and watch that video so that you can understand what these key levels are that I have drawn out. I will put the link of that video in the description box of this video. I do know sometimes YouTubers, they be putting the links up in the top corners. I don't think I know how to do that yet. I'll try once I start editing this video, but if it ain't on the screen, just look in the description box and it will definitely be in there. And you go ahead and watch and see how I charted SPY. Okay, so yeah, so this is the daily. Then I will go down to the 4 hours. Now we're just going lower and lower. The 4 hours is the past 180 days of SPY within 4-hour increments. So each candle represents 4 hours within the last 180 days. Okay, and I still see this pattern. So I'm like, okay, and then the uptrend, it gets a little longer. Okay, so we're getting more in depth. Okay, so then I will go down to the 1 hour. I'm like, okay, we see this uptrend, right? Now, as you can see, as you go lower in the time frames, all it's doing is giving you a closer, in-depth picture. Okay, so you see this uptrend, all this whole uptrend is just a more in-depth picture of this uptrend right here. We're going in closer. It's like we're looking at it under a microscope and we can really see what's going on, okay? So, let's see. All right. So now as we can see, now when you're thinking about taking a trade, you look at the overall scope, which we did, and then you go to the lower time frames to kind of find your potential entry and exit strategy. Okay. Now we can go even lower than this and see it on the 30-minute. For me personally, I like to stop at the 1 hour and kind of figure out what it is that I'm going to do. Now, if you follow my IG page last week, our watch list on SPY, we were waiting for it to break this 423 level and then take a position, which I did take a call option. It was a very nice trade. Okay, so that's where I got the entry because it was rejecting this level for a while and then it finally broke through. So now that it's broke that, my current watch list for SPY would be like, okay, so I see it just broke this 423. It's at about up here 425, 26, 27. Now I can see up here I have a 429 resistance. Now that is there because at some point in the past SPY has either acted, that level has acted as support or resistance. So now currently, since it's approaching that level, what I want to do is wait for it to get there to see what it's going to do, how it's going to react. Is it going to reject it? Is it going to push through? What is it going to do? Or is it going to fall back down to this 423? And again, when it gets there, I want to see what it's going to do. Is it going to act as support? Is it going to fall through, come back down? We want to see what it does. You know, give the stock time to tell you what it's doing. So just by kind of looking at this, I would look for it to break this 429 when it gets there. If it breaks through with volume, and as you can see, these are the volumes. I actually have the volume average on my other charts. But I'm gonna watch it and see if there's volume. If there's a lot of volume, that could be a potential trade on SPY. Okay, like a long trade taking a call option. And I actually, after 429, I don't really have anything charted, so I might have to go back and look at some previous times for SPY just so I can know where I would exit, or if I'll just kind of watch it to see. Okay, and so then if it broke, if it didn't go up to this 429 and decides to come back down to 423, if it broke through that, I know that the next level of support is down here, so that would be a potential put option on SPY. Okay, so you probably also hear, if you're like a swing trader, you use higher time frames because it's more the trend is stronger there, and when you're swing trading, you're in a position for more than a day, so you want to be sure that the stock is going in the direction that you want it to go if you're swinging, so you would utilize higher time frames. Okay, so I could have gotten a trade down here and swung it for a couple days, and I know I will be good because it went up um, for a whole week. This week it opened at 415 and it closed at 427. Okay, so you could have held that position for a couple days and been good because overall it was going up. So swing traders use higher time frames. Now, if you're like a day trader, you would use the lower time frames. And I think the ones that they use mostly is like the 5-minute, the 15, and the 30-minute. I am a day trader. I like to use the the 5-minute. I like the 3-minute too. 3-minute, 5-minute, 15-minute. Those are really my things when I'm watching. And then you also have scalp traders, which they use the very, very, very lower time frame, like the 1 minute. They're not even in trades that long. It's like really in and out. All this is 1 minute worth of movement. So those move pretty fast. So that is basically the point of these time frames, and I hope that this was helpful. If you don't follow me on IG, go ahead and check out my Instagram. I am going to be posting watch list on SPY, going off what I just evaluated with these various time frames. And I hope this was helpful. If it was, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you are notified anytime that I upload a video. Okay, see you guys next time.